All right, everyone, it's time to play through the second mission of my BattleTech Aces Scouring Sands campaign. This is actually mission number 6 in the campaign book. And once again, I will be spoiling absolutely everything about this mission. So if you don't want to know what happens, if you want to play through this yourself the first time, definitely stop watching right now. There's nothing in this video you can watch that will not spoil what's in this mission. On that note, here it comes. A Falcon in Flight. This is the mission that we'll be playing today. I mentioned I picked this mission because I haven't played it before. I want to have as many surprises as I can in this playthrough. So that's why I chose this one over mission number 5, which I have done before. So in this mission, the basic premise of it is that we're trying to hunt down Star Captain Sender's right hand, which is Star Commander Maya. And she's down here in this Marauder IIC. So in the last mission, the outcome was basically that we were able to obtain documents and information from the Jade Falcon base, and that led us to Star Commander Maya. I will mention, though, that in the story it says your local contacts are helpful in getting a clearer picture of the composition of the 18th Falcon regulars. However, in the first mission, I did mission number 3, we didn't talk to any local contacts. I thought the outcome said we got this information from the base. Anyways, that stuff doesn't matter. So we're going to try to track her down. We're going to try to capture her. And they figure out that we're doing this. So all my units are deployed up here in the northeast corner. And so she's going to make a run for it. She's going to try to escape. And her lackeys here, the 2 elementals and the howler, are going to try to distract us so she can get out of here. So just to review a little bit of what happened last mission, I won't get into great detail. And I'm not going to talk about the mission setup very long here. I really am just going to get into playing. But just to show you what's going on, here's the force roster. I had to strike out the Warhammer. Wow, a very expensive unit that's gone because of my pathetic tactics during the mission. I thought I was doing well at the beginning, but I just totally botched everything by the end. But I still had a lot of fun. So that is gone. Miser is our commanding officer. Miser has taken a wound during the battle and cannot participate in this one. So Ember is going to take over as the commanding officer. That's important because if the commanders are destroyed during the mission, that side takes a -2 to their initiative roll. So that's what happened. I did successfully complete the mission. You have to in Aces, at least in this box set. So I did complete the mission, but if you look at my campaign log, wow, it was not a success. I won, but it was not a success. I actually lost 80 points. That's how much damage I had to my units. So that kind of brings me to what I get to decide at the start of this mission, which is the reconnaissance option. And I can basically decide if I want to have some flankers available that don't start up in the northeast here. They actually can come on turn 3 down on the southern border. So it seems tempting because if the Marauder ends up going this direction, my units are going to have a heck of a time tracking her down. It's tempting, but it's just so many SP. It's 200. And so that would wipe out more than half of what I have left. And so I just don't know if I can do that. I'm going to think about it before the mission starts and decide. I can't do the second one because I don't have an RCN special ability unit, so that's not an option. Waypoints are already set up, so they're all scattered around here. The way this will work is in the end phase, I'm going to reveal the waypoint that's closest to the Marauder IIC. She is attempting, by the way, to get to this movement objective on the west side of the map. So for the beginning of the mission, that's what she's attempting to do. No one else is using that movement objective, just the Marauder IIC. If I destroy this mech, she becomes available for capture. So I don't immediately win the mission or anything. She falls onto the map and is available for capture. So that movement objective will move to wherever that Marauder IIC was when it was destroyed. And then I have to try to get to that movement objective to capture her and then get that unit off the map. So this is going to be super chaotic, I think, when that happens. If it happens, I hope I'm able to do that. But that's the basic premise of the mission. She's trying to escape, we're trying to stop her, and we're trying to capture her and get off the map. Whew, this sounds exciting. I think it sounds like a really cool mission. Nothing like anything I've played in the book before. And I've played quite a few missions, so I'm very excited to give this one a try. Table setup's the same. If you're interested in any of that stuff, what I use at the table, how I've set it up with the terrain and everything, check out my first playthrough because I go through all of that in more detail. In the meantime, this is what the map looks like. I have it already set up. I think I did a good job. I do have a slightly compressed north to south table. It's only 36 inches, not 48. So I made some adjustments there, but I did the best I could. Oh, I should probably mention real quick the actual objectives and how much I can get paid. That's kind of important. So the first one is what I mentioned. I have to destroy the Marauder IIC, capture Maya, and I will get 1200 SP if I'm able to do that. Secondary objective for 600 SP is to destroy at least 3 other enemy units, in addition to the Marauder IIC. And they're mostly very lightly armored units. They're just elementals and howlers, so I should be able to take care of that. I mean, I should say that shouldn't be a huge task to do, but you know how this stuff goes, especially with me. The story ends after 7 turns when one side has no remaining units, or if the unit that's carrying Maya escapes, either her, when she's, this is the unit carrying her right now, or my unit if it escapes. Now, if my unit gets destroyed, if I do capture her, and the aces kill that unit before it gets off the map, it's a failure. So I need to be quick to get off there. So I brought a lot of quick units. I'm going to really quickly show you the forces, and then we'll get right into the playthrough. All right, let's take a quick look at my force. I'm bringing a lot of the same units I brought in the last mission, but I've really curated it to be either mechs that can jump, even if they're a little bit slow. So I've got the Blackjack, the Victor, and the Catapult. They all have 8-inch movement, but they can jump. I've got 2 quicker mechs. I've got the Clint and the Hermes. 3 hover tanks that all have 16-inch movement. The Clint and the Hermes have 12 inches, by the way. And then I did bring 1 point of foot infantry just because I had a few points left and they just rounded it out for me. I probably won't make very good use of it, but it's possible I could do something. But there is a river on this map, so the 3 hover tanks are going to help out a lot. And the jumping should help with that too. I don't want to get bogged down in that river since we're chasing something. So that was my thought process there. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here and show you the cards if you're interested. You can see the amount of armor and structure they have, their movement, their damage that they do. So nothing too terribly exciting. I'm pretty boring and conservative most of the time. But we'll see. We'll see what this group can do. You know, the good news is they don't have their pathetic commanding officer Miser for this mission because he's wounded. So that should improve their chances right there. I forgot about the name pilots. So Ember's going to return in the Blackjack, and we're going to have Steve move over into the Victor. I mean, with a name like Steve, I can't think of a better mech for him to pilot. A giant high point value mech. You know, he got blown away in 1 hit in the last mission, so why not give him the big one? And then I think we're going to have Shockwave go ahead in the Condor. So Shockwave's tied to a combat vehicle, so let's go with the Condor. That's my favorite one, so we'll give him a chance in there and see how it goes. Now, the only problem is that 2 of my name pilot edge abilities are related to indirect fire. Well, I should say the one for Shockwave isn't, but they work together well for indirect fire, so Steve's going to be useless with his ability, but Shockwave can still do some damage with his. And here's the enemy force. So they're going to start off with a Marauder IIC, a Howler, and 2 points of elementals. However, if I move out here, you'll see their cards. They have 3 additional points of elementals that could potentially enter the fray. I'm guessing if I reveal certain waypoints. And actually in this mission, I won't be revealing any waypoints. The Automa does. So yeah, I'm guessing some of those are going to bring the elementals out. Unfortunately, I only have 2 3D miniature elementals, so I'm going to have to resort to tokens. Oh, the horror. So, well, unless I destroy some of these elementals, then I'll just reuse them as the additional points. But that's what they have going on. So the Marauder IIC has a skill of 2 because that's the, that's the special mech warrior that we're hunting down. All the other units have 3 skill. All right, we are ready to go. I'm going to try this more overhead view to give you a better sense of movement. Again, let me know if you like this better or worse, whatever. The commander card to start the mission is A. It's the Mech Warrior A, which is what we started on for the last mission. So there's no bonus for initiative. I did slightly move the Marauder IIC down into the very back corner. That's where it is on the map. My deployment zone's up in the northeast. I think you can see everything here. So what I'll probably do is just do a hybrid of summarizing my movement. So I'll probably move my units and 1 aces and then show you, and then just continue that until all the units have moved. If there's something really interesting with the aces, I'll cut in and show you that movement and then card evaluation. I also do that more when there's stuff that really would affect me, just so you don't think I'm fooling around. Not that you would, but I just feel better if I'm showing like, yeah, this unit that's really important is moving here and I'm showing you how. It just makes me feel a little better. All right, let's roll initiative. Just like before, my units are going to use my force is going to use the orange, and the Jade Falcons are going to use the green for initiative. We have just a plain old straight up roll here. And I win. Okay, so the aces are going to go first, And then I will move, I think 3 units. I think I have 9 and they have 4. So I think I'll start with 3. I'll figure it out. All right, first part of movement is done. The green elementals here, they are green. It might not look like that on camera. But this set of elementals moved first, and they had to go to cautious movement and picked the catapult as their target. Or no, the Clint. Sorry, the Clint as their target. And they just wanted to get line of sight only to it. It didn't say they had to be able to target it or attack it. So I just moved them here behind this hill where they can just see the Clint. Of course, that Clint's going to move, but that's what they wanted to do, so that satisfied it. And then I decided that what I would do is I would mount my infantry so they just went into the Maxim. I didn't know if I could start the mission that way. I'm not sure if it matters, but in any case, they went into the Maxim. And then the Victor and the Catapult both jumped up to here. I just did jumping movement in case these elementals get closer. I certainly don't want to get attacked by the elemental and take a bunch of damage on the first round, so I just figured I'll bump up their mods. Honestly, I don't really know what's the best thing to do here right now, but those things aren't going to get really in targeting range in this first round, I don't think. So I'm just going to try to bring them around this way and see what this Marauder does. I have the hover tanks to deal with the Marauder. If it goes this route, then I'll have to use the hover tanks to try to get it because these things are going to be too slow. So nothing too exciting, but that's the first step. By the way, I did mention that in the end phase I reveal these waypoints. That's not true. It's actually after the movement phase. So when all the units are done moving, I reveal the closest waypoint to the Marauder. Okay, I'm going to move the next unit, which is the elementals again, the blue elementals over here, and then I will move 2 of my units. All right, the second part of movement is done. The blue elementals wanted to get to the catapult or the Victor. It chose the catapult because it has less structure, and it obviously wanted to be able to attack it when it's done. And then it wanted to be in the woods, so I jumped it right there. That seemed to be the best, closer to the target in the woods. So that was the best spot for those elementals. By the way, I'm going to try to make less mistakes this time. I apologize for all the mistakes in the first one. I'm going to try to keep things less chaotic. I am marking these elementals with a 3. So their TMM is 1, and they use jump movement, which would normally bump their TMM by 1. But battle armor have an automatic +1 when you try to attack them. So I'm just marking them with a 3 so I don't forget that. One of the things I've been going back and forth with a little bit due to someone making a comment on one of my videos is whether this symbol here means the unit has to be able to attack the target it selects. Because in the book, it just says it can attack. It doesn't say it has to. I mean, obviously it doesn't have to attack it because in combat, it could pick something else. But does it have to be able to attack it when it's done moving? I'm going to post a video about this, giving all the evidence of why I think the answer is yes to that. I've been thinking for the past couple of weeks it's no, but I'm 100% convinced it's yes. So it does have to. So this movement has to end with it being able to attack that catapult. I wish the rules were clearer about it, but they're not. Anyway, there will be another video about that. So my movement was to jump the blackjack here. I think I kept it so there's partial cover. It's not completely hidden, but it does have partial cover. And then I moved the Pegasus with its full movement up against this hill. And I wanted to keep it out of the Marauder's line of sight for now, because I don't want it to just move a little bit closer to the movement objective and then attack it. So again, playing very conservatively. This did not work out well the last mission. I'm hoping it'll do better this time. All right, next couple movements coming up. Okay, I'm back already because the Marauder IIC is next. And so I want to go through this movement instruction just to talk through what I'm going to do, because this is the most important unit on the map. So here's the card. So it's looking for the ideal red, which is the Victor. And it wants it to be moved, which it is, but it can't move behind it. So it has to go to balanced movement. It's looking out 14 inches, and it wants a unit it can attack on the red list. But the only unit within 14 inches is the Pegasus. And it has moved, even though that doesn't matter. It doesn't care if it has moved. So it's going to use jump movement, and it wants to try to occupy the woods, which it cannot do it only has 12 inches of jump movement. So it's not going to be able to get all the way to these woods. 12 inches is going to be like right around here. It wants cover versus as many enemies as possible, avoid the water, targeting range to at least one moved enemy. That won't be a problem. So I think it's basically just going to go right to here, which is not great. See, then I say, maybe I should have brought these back here to see if I could have kept it from moving too much, because now it's going to move very far. Before I go through those movements, I have to use the movement special order, movement objective, which says overlap the movement objective. It's not going to be able to do that. It's too far away. If the enemies also want to overlap it, which they don't, I'm not trying to overlap it, not yet. And then it just wants to get closer to the objective. So the thing with this is, like, I can't overlap it, right? This doesn't matter, so I'm down to here, get closer to the movement objective. The rules don't really say anything about, okay, if you only have to get closer to it, does that mean you're going to get as close as possible, like you're going to use your full movement to get out there? Or does it mean, you can just move an inch closer, that's fine. I read the movement objective rules again and the example, and it just doesn't tell you. But I think the card is going to solve the problem because it needs to be able to target the Pegasus, so it's going to have to move right here. Let me know what you think about that, but I would like some clear direction in that case of, does it have to move as far as possible to the movement objective, or is it okay to just move 1 inch? Is that okay? It's kind of like the force withdrawal. If they can't get off the map, do they have to use their full movement to get off, or can they just go 1 inch? It's not 100% clear on these cards. Okay, I'm going to move my units. All right, I took the logical approach with my movement. I sprinted the Hermes and the Condor down to this hill. So they won't be able to be attacked by the Marauder. And now that I'm looking at that Pegasus, it's within 6 inches. That was not a good movement by me. I should have maybe gone here. I guess it does have jump movement. It could have jumped right over if it needed to. So I guess either way it would get in short range. But in any case, I sprinted these two down here. But now I know it's going this way, and I'm going to be able to just enclose it here, hopefully. Depends on what waypoints come out, but I'm going to be able to hopefully surround it and take it out quickly. Plus, these should be able to get in its back, depending on initiative, of course. But that's what I did. All right, time to move the Howler and then my last 2 units. And then we're going to reveal this waypoint. It's whatever's closest to the Marauder, so it's going to be that one. Okay, back again with the Howler's movement, and I'm going to just kind of go back to what I was talking about before with the eye and the crosshairs. So the aggressive movement is if the ideal blue, which is going to be the Pegasus, the highest TMM with the lowest structure, has already moved, which it has, and the unit can move to attack it without being in any moved enemy's targeting range. And that is true because it could go right here, and it would peek around this hill and be able to attack the Pegasus. So that's true. But then when we go down to targeting, it goes out 16 inches, which is nothing. It has none of our units are there. 22 inches, it can find the catapult, but that's it. It's like this radius here. So we can find the catapult. So, so then it says, okay, no unmoved enemies in the line of sight. That won't be a problem. And occupy the woods. There are no woods around other than up here, but it can't go up there because it will be an unmoved enemy's line of sight. So that's not going to work. So it's like it wants the Pegasus. It wants to know about the Pegasus, but then it's not actually going to take advantage of that ability, and it's instead going to go after the catapult. So I think I'm just going to go here. I think that's the best I can do to just peek it around because it can see the catapult, but the other units can't see it. So I don't think the Maxim can see it. I'm going to have to go check, but I don't think it can see it, and I don't think the Clint can see it either. So I think that will work, but I'm going to double check it. All right, round 1 movement is done. The Howler was in a good position. The Maxim couldn't see it, and the Clint couldn't see it either. So then I moved the Maxim up here. I'm going to have to shift the camera. I put it behind this rock so nothing can see it, so it's tucked away there. And then I sprinted the Clint down here. I didn't know where else to put it because if I went this direction, there were too many things I could shoot at it. So I thought it might be better just to bring it down here. It can jump, so it could jump out here if I needed to. These two can't do that. So I want them to come around this way, but the Clint has options to go this way or this way. So I like that move better than the other options. Again, I can't say I'm a tactical master, but you know, hey, I'm doing my best. All right, so we're going to reveal a waypoint. It's the closest one to the Marauder IIC. That's going to be D. So I'm going to go to the book. Let's see what it does. You watch the Marauder IIC speed toward the enemy lines and contemplate how to take it down. The player unit nearest to the waypoint, so that was right here, so that's going to be the Hermes, gains 1 edge for the remainder of the sortie, even if it's not a named pilot. Ooh, I like this already. Discard the waypoint. Okay, we'll get rid of D. Then reveal the waypoint nearest to any player unit and resolve its effect as well. Ooh, don't like that part as much, but that's going to be this one next to the catapult. So we're also going to look at C. A signal light provides a little advance warning as the enemy makes a coordinated move against you. Replace the waypoint token with elementals. They are considered to have used jumping movement and will attack this combat phase. No! Then also reveal the waypoint nearest to any player unit and resolve its effect as well. Oh, this is fun. We're just doing dominoes here. So here's the thing with the elementals. Now, I'm going to split this deck again. So I've already split it with 2. So I think what I'm going to do is just take the bottom 2 cards and just put it under this one, but who knows? I could get 3 more elementals out here on this round. So I think they were like right there. They definitely weren't in base-to-base contact. I'll remember not to put any units near base-to-base contact. I think I'm out of red dice. How did that happen? Okay, I'm going to use an orange one with a 3 to mark its TMM. Okay, let's go to the next one. So the next one that's nearest to a player unit, I think that's the one in the woods here. Waypoint A. More elementals are lying in wait here and spring their trap. I knew this was going to happen. Replace the waypoint token with elementals. They are considered to have used jumping movement and will attack this combat phase. Dang it, I should have got a lot more red dice for this. Okay, so another point of elementals are coming out. I'm going to mark these, by the way, with gray dice so I know who's who. So this one is a 4. So I'm going to mark them. I'm just marking them like that so I can remember. So that's 4. So they're out. And the other one was 5. So they're out. So that's just how I'm marking them. So again, I'm going to have to split this deck up. I guess at this point they would all just get 1 card. So I think I'll just take the bottom 2, put them under those, and I'll just have to shuffle it every round. Luckily, that's it. No more waypoint surprises. Okay, well, this was going to be a really quick combat phase, but now it's not. All right, the Marauder is up first. It's eyeing down the Pegasus right next to the hill there. That's what it used for movement. And it's also checking out that Blackjack because it wants to go 24 inches out, not 6 like I thought it might. So those are the only 2 targets it can hit. And it actually wants the Blackjack. It wants the unit with the lowest TMM. Pegasus has 3, the Blackjack has 2. And it's going to be an 8 to hit. So when I look at the card, I thought, oh, well, it won't overheat. But actually it will. If TN 8 or less, and OV might let it hit the target structure, use up to 2 overheat. The Blackjack only has 5 armor, so that means it will overheat, which is kind of weird because now it's going to slow this unit down, but that's A-okay with me. It's probably not A-okay with that Blackjack, though. All right, here we go. Marauder attacking the Blackjack. I want to see lots of 1s here. I got 6 pairs of dice. Oh, I do see lots of 1s. Oh, my goodness, so many 1s. Oh, that's a great sight to see. So that Blackjack only takes 2 damage. Crazy. Actually, I forgot. The Marauder does 6 damage normally. It does 7 damage with overheat. I have to roll another pair of dice, so here come the orange ones. It gets a 7. That doesn't hit either. So, okay, still only 2 points of damage. I did mark the Marauder with an orange 1 for overheat. I'm going to go get some more red dice in a minute. But, yeah, so it overheat. It's going to be slower next round, harder to hit things, and lower TMM. All right, the Howler got in position to only see the catapult. So it's going to shoot across at the catapult there. So it's going to need 7s to hit. It only rolls 2 for its attack at medium range. So my hand feels very light now with only 2 pairs of dice in it. All right, let's see what happens. It needs 7s. It doesn't hit anything. Wow. I'm rolling exceptionally well so far. All right, this squad of elementals is going to attack the catapult because it's already been attacked by an ally this turn. So that's what's going to do. Now, elementals don't have any attacker modifier. So even though they jump, they don't account for that. So they're going to have a 3 skill, a 2 TMM for the catapult. So they only need to roll 5s. That's it, just 5s. They do 2 damage. That's going to be 2 points to the catapult. All right, this squad of elementals on the token is going after the Pegasus because it's within 6 inches. So this one has a TMM of 3 for the Pegasus, so it's going to be a 6. Also does 2 damage at short range, so it needs 6s. Oh man, I'm rolling so bad. All right, Pegasus takes 1 point, and that means it will take a motive hit. So it gets a +1 to whatever this result is. 7, so it gets an 8, which is nothing. 2 to 8 is nothing on the motive table, so the Pegasus escapes. Okay, these green elementals went first, and they got the Clint in their line of sight, but the Clint moves, so they have nothing to attack. These blue elementals are going to attack the Pegasus because it has the highest TMM on the blue list, and it's just outside of 6 inches. It's about 6 1/8. So I moved these trees to double check, and they're just outside. So it's going to have an 8 to hit. Again, does 2 damage at medium range, so it needs 8s. Let's hope my terrible rolling continues. It almost does. It takes 1, so it's going to take another 1. It needs another motive hit. So let's see what it gets this time. Oh, that's no good. So that's going to bump up to a 10, which I think is just 2 inches of movement reduced for that Pegasus. And it takes another pip of armor damage. Okay, here's where things stand after that round of combat by the aces. This is something I meant to do in the last playthrough and I forgot, but just to show you a summary of what happened to my units. So the Blackjack took a little armor damage, the Catapult took a little armor damage, the Pegasus took a little armor damage, but took a 2-inch motive hit. So it's going to have 2 TMM next round and only 14 inches of movement. But all in all, I'd say that's not bad. Considering the Blackjack got attacked by something doing 7 damage and escaped with 2, Ember had her edge ready. I will definitely take what happened here. All right, my turn for some retribution, although I don't have too many units that can do much. All right, I double-checked this line of sight between the Maxim, which is hiding behind that rock at the top there, and the new point of elementals, but unfortunately, I tucked it a little too far back. It can't see anything, so it's not going to do anything this round. But the Victor and the Catapult are both just going to attack with this point of elementals. They can't see anything else except for the Howler, which would be a 12 to hit, so no sense in doing that. So they're going to go ahead and attack these elementals. They're going to have pretty high numbers. I think it's going to be 9 each because they have 4 skill. They jump, so that's another 2, and then the elementals have 3 TMM, so it's going to be 9s. So not great chances, but we could do something. They don't have much armor. All right, Victor's going to go first. It does 4 damage at short range, so it is going to try to hit 9s here. Okay, now I need good rolls. Okay, got 1. Nothing great. I'm going to just go ahead and roll right into the Catapult and roll. It's 2 that it does from short range. Also needs 9s. Just 1 point. That's not good. All right, Ember's tucked away by that hill and is going to attack this other token that's in the woods. It's a 10 to hit, nothing great, but that's the best number she could get. So needs 10s. She does 3 for medium range. Oh, she got 1. Nice. Okay, last shot for me. The Pegasus is going to attack the Marauder IIC at short range. It's the only unit that can actually help me with the objective. So it's going to need 7s. It has a 4 skill, 2 TMM, and then it has a partial cover from that hill. So it's going to need 7s. Big roll in here. Let's go. Oh, almost got 2, but just got 1. All right, there's a summary of the Ace's forces. The 2 elementals on tokens both took 1 pip of armor damage. The Marauder IIC took a pip of armor damage. It's got a lot of armor, but I think we're going to be able to do more damage next round. This Waypoint L is on the Marauder IIC card. That's just a reminder that if it's destroyed, you trigger a complete change in how this battle works. So not a great round for me, but we took barely any damage, so I'm pretty happy with it so far. Next round's going to be really, really interesting because the Marauder has to move closer to that movement objective over there. So it's got to move this direction. It has less movement, and we're going to be able to swarm it. So we also have a lot of elementals to deal with, though. All right, just doing some end phase wrap up here. I've already applied damage to everything. So we know the Pegasus has a condition, the Marauder has a condition, so I've got those covered. There's nothing going on as far as objectives. I definitely haven't completed any. Nothing as far as special rules in the end phase because the Marauder IIC is still there, hasn't escaped, and we haven't captured anything, so we're good on that. We have to do the commander's strategy decision. I can't imagine things would change, although I know sometimes it talks about units that are fast within 24 inches, so let's take a look here. So if you, okay, that first one's not true. If you lost fewer PVs, nobody lost anything. If you lost the most, nope. If an enemy within 24 inches of any of your units has a TMM of 3 or more. Okay, there you go. We're gonna switch over to command card D because we have the Condor and the Pegasus, and actually the Maxim would be one too. They all have a TMM of 3. Pegasus is gonna lose 1 now. And I guess damage effects have been applied, so it would only be a 2, but we still have the Condor and the Maxim, so we're gonna switch over to D. Let's see if that affects initiative at all. It affects absolutely nothing. None. No orders. Maya sits in her Marauder IIC, very stoic, staring out, looking at the destruction, and does nothing. Okay, as usual, I forgot to put the initiative on the track. So I'm just gonna go ahead and bump that up to 2. I will flip it if the aces win, which they probably will. And we have no waypoints this time on the turn track, so there won't be any waypoints revealed that way. I'm gonna go ahead and clear the dice off as the movement tracking. I'll leave the damage stuff, and then we'll get into turn number 2. All right, as the sun sets in the west, and it's very sunny today. It's casting a lot of shadows on the table. Hopefully it still looks all right, but I like to take advantage of the natural light because I think everything looks better in it, but hopefully it's not too hard to see with all the shadows. But in any case, we roll initiative for round 2. It is not an even up. It is the aces getting a bonus because I get a -2 penalty to my orange dice. So whatever I roll gets -2, they get their normal roll. Oh my God, they got a real bad one. So I'm gonna win initiative again. So I'll leave the blue on the turn track and the aces have to go first again. I'm definitely getting lucky here at the start. All right, first step of movement is done. The infantry up there went first. They had kind of a weird movement card. They wanted to find the nearest target, which was the catapult, and then they just wanted to get closer to it, even though it hadn't moved yet. So the card didn't care if the target had moved. It just wanted to get closer to it. So I thought that was interesting. So it just went right next to the catapult. I figured it, once again, in base-to-base combat. It did use jump movement. I think it was an inch, so that's fine. It gets its full TMM. And then I just think I played it smart here. I moved the Condor around and put it up base to base with the Marauder, because the Marauder has to go in this direction, I think. I mean, yeah, I don't think it can go this way to get behind the I mean, there's no way. So I felt this was pretty good. And then I hugged the hillside with the Hermes, because I figured it has to go in this direction somehow. It might try to jump up here. I have no idea. But I figured they'll be in range to shoot it somehow, because it has to move in that direction. So I don't know. I guess it could go up into the woods or something and block them. That's it so far. So I'm just going to try to take advantage of these fast units and see if we can get in the Marauder's rear or somehow swarm it. All right, step 2 complete. I did close the curtains in here, by the way, because there were a ton of shadows on there. So hopefully this makes it easier to see. I think I called that infantry. Those are elementals, of course. They're all elementals, these tokens and infantry looking miniatures. This elemental point wanted to go next, and it had no line of sight to anything. It couldn't see or target anything. So it went to cautious movement as well, because it didn't have a target. It basically wanted to know, can it get line of sight to something? Or does it currently have attacking ability to something? So it then went to the nearest target, which was the Condor. I measured it out. It was real close between these three, but the Condor was the closest. And so it just wanted to get line of sight. I guess I could have jumped it like all the way out. I guess maybe that would be a better move. So let me just move that back. I'm actually going to just make a live change here, and I think I'm going to just jump it over the water into here. That would make more sense, because these things are most useful when they're close to something. So, okay, very good. We got that. And then my moves were to move the Clint around. I had enough to get it here with just ground movement. So I've got these 3 units ready to pounce. I hope this Marauder doesn't do something crazy that I didn't think of. And then I moved the Maxim from all the way up there, all the way around this hill here. I put it back there. So I'm trying to see if I can keep the Howler this direction by having it key on that. I'm hoping that will happen, just to keep it out of the fray. I think we can handle the elementals, but I don't want that Howler coming in and offering more firepower. So, okay, we're 1 for 1 now at this point. We both have 4 units left. So the blue elementals went next. I love how the ambushers always go early. So they wanted to be able to target the Hermes. They wanted the highest short range damage of these moved units. So the only place I could do that was to go 6 inches out this way to get it. It wanted to occupy woods, but it can't see the Hermes if it does that. So it had to go there. And then I decided to jump the catapult this way. I don't feel super great about that move, but I didn't really know what else to do, because basically anywhere else I move, it's going to be elementals that can get into base-to-base contact. So I just figured that was okay for now. All right, I had to take a bit of a pause. For some reason, my family thinks I need to stop playing aces and attend to things around the house. I don't get it. In any case, in the meantime, one of my cats walked all over the board and knocked a whole bunch of stuff over. So I think I got it all back where it was supposed to go. And now I've got another one on here. Come on, you got to go. All right, so what I was going to say is there's one more elemental point that has to go. And then the Marauder goes, and then the Howler. So once I get this elemental out of the way, I'll have more of an idea of where things are going to go and where I need to get into position too. So I'll move them, and we'll see what happens. I knew I didn't feel good about that catapult movement. I should have thought about that a little longer. Those infantry had just enough jump movement to get into base to base. So we're probably going to see an anti-mech attack on this round, which that's kind of fun. I don't think I've done one of those yet in Alpha Strike, so that'll be cool. I moved the Victor first. Victor has a lot of armor, and I want to get in a position where it can potentially attack this Marauder. If the Marauder doesn't move much, that's going to be 6 inches of woods there. So I try to put it on the outskirts, so if the Marauder goes this direction, even if it ends like right here, it would only be, I think, 4 inches, so I'd be able to shoot through it. But it just all depends on what it ends up doing here. I'm going to go ahead and show you what the Marauder is going to do, because it's, again, the most important unit, so why not walk through this together? It's fun, right? I'm sure you love hearing me give these instructions over and over and over again. Okay, so here's the card. It's looking for the ideal red target, hoping it's moved and that it can move within 16 inches of it. That is true. So the red is going to look for no destroy objectives, so we're looking for the most short range damage. The Victor is the only unit that I have that can do more than 3 damage at short range. So it's looking at the Victor, and it can definitely get within 16 inches of it. So we got that one. Now, in the target behavior, it's only looking out 10 inches. And it wants a unit it can attack when it's done moving that has already moved, and then we go to the red list. Well, the Victor's not within 10 inches. The 10 inches is to about right here. So it's going to pick up on this cluster down here, which is exactly what I want it to do. I want it to focus on these because that's potentially going to keep it from moving too far, too fast this way. Now it is going to use jump movement. That's what it wants to use. So we're going to go to the movement objective card, and we have the same instructions as before. Overlap the objective. It's not going to be able to do that this turn. If the enemies also want to do it, they don't. So we're just going to try to get closer to the movement objective. So in order to figure out where exactly it goes, and again, the rules don't tell you does it go as far as it can, because if I'm playing this, I'm probably going to try to move my full 12 inches every turn. But the aces don't do that. So I'm going to use the movement on the card to break it, and it says to occupy the woods, which that's a valid move and not a bad one, even though it's playing right into my hands because now I'm literally going to get it surrounded. But that could move to here, which is moving closer to that movement objective. So it could jump into the woods, and then it wants to get closer to the target, but it can't do that and occupy the woods. That's the second instruction, closer to the target. It can't do that. It's going to jump, and I would probably place it like that. It's going to only get a TMM of 1. Right now it has a TMM of 0. A base TMM because it's overheated. So it's only going to get a TMM of 1. So I'll go ahead. I got more red dice. Yay. Okay, so I marked it with a red dice with a 1. I think that's, given the parameters where it's not really clear about what closer to the movement objective means, I think that's where I'm going to put it. Okay, as one final adjustment, I moved it a little bit farther down to keep it just inside this woods template, but get it out of 6 inches from the Victor. So the Pegasus and the catapult are within 6 inches, so they are short range, but I think I minimized that as much as possible given that it wants to be in the woods. I decided to move the blackjack here. I thought about this for a little while. I wanted to try to get it in the woods, but then I thought there's enough distance here that the Marauder has to pay to shoot out of this as well. It's more than 2 inches to get out of the woods. So I moved Ember there, and she will be at medium range, which is good for the blackjack because that does 3 damage at medium range. And she'll be at medium range to hopefully make this attack harder if the Marauder picks up on that. I think it's going to end up picking up on this, though, because this had the red list on it. So the red list is going to look at the Victor, so it's probably going to pick that Victor. Howler's going to move, and then I'll move the Pegasus, which is almost for sure just going to go back here somewhere. Okay, the Howler had an interesting card. It was looking for a red moved unit that it could attack without being in any other moved enemy's targeting range. And it could have done that right here. Next to this hill. It could have seen the Victor, which is what it wanted, and nothing else would be able to see it or attack it. But as sometimes happens, then with the movement instructions, it went out 18 inches. It still found the Victor, but its instructions were not to only get targeting range to that unit. I think that's, I don't know. I always find it kind of interesting. It's like, well, that's a pretty cool thing that it could do that, but then it doesn't do it. The Pegasus, I wavered a little bit on whether I should move it here because these will be in short range to attack it, but I got to take advantage of this. Get in the rear, pound this thing. If I lose the Pegasus, it's going to be okay. So that's where things stand. We're going to get into combat now. At the end phase here, I'm going to explain some very interesting things that commenters pointed out to me about the last mission. That's going to change a couple of things. Got myself. End of movement phase. Got to reveal waypoint. So this one I think is the closest. I'm going to do a quick measurement. That is about 9 inches. That's about 10.5. So yeah, we're going to reveal this one. So we get waypoint E. Letter E, a blast erupts from the sand beside you. Artillery! Take a sniper artillery support card from the battlefield support deck and place it beside the command deck. It is available to the enemy this combat phase. Yay! Well, that sucks because, wow, do I have a really good place for it to blast artillery. Man, I got to give them credit. They put some awesome surprises in these missions. Stuff I didn't expect. If I had known that, I would never have done something like that. Those things are going to be in some trouble. To be honest with you, I don't have the Alpha Strike box. I actually got the rules and the counters pack separately. So I don't know if I have these things. I'm probably going to have to go look them up or something. But anyway, let's do the regular combat, then we'll get into that. All right, time for the free roaming camera. Let me know if you like this, by the way, or if it makes you seasick. I try to hold my hand steady, but no matter what I do, it's just not going to happen. So the Marauder wants a unit within 6 inches, and I've pretty much made it so that only the catapult back there by the hill is going to be within 6 inches. So it's going to attack that. The Marauder looks funky. It's so huge. You can't tell really what the base is doing, but it is definitely in its front firing arc. And it's going to overheat again. So the card says if the TN number is 7 or less, use maximum overheat. So it will overheat by 1. It will try to do 7 damage on the catapult. It needs 7s. So the skill for this pilot is a 2. It jumps, so that's a 4. Overheat, that's a 5. And the TMM for the catapult is a 2. No modifier for range. So 7 dice, needs 7s. Catapult hasn't taken any damage. Oh yeah, it has. It's taken 2. Wow, this could really hurt. Never mind. Okay. Ooh, some terrible rolling again. My God, I am getting so incredibly lucky so far. So that's what it gets. 3 hits. That's it. Crazy. Now that is going to strip the catapult of armor. So it depends if these elementals want to attack something that's already been hit by an ally. It could put it into structure, but for right now, it just takes all its armor away. Okay, blue elementals are next, and unfortunately, they're also within 6 inches of the catapult. And its targeting instructions are attack the rear, which it can't do to anybody, and then go to a target that's been attacked by an ally. So they're going for the catapult. They're also going to have 7s because they have a 3 skill, +2 for jumping is a 5, and then +2 for the catapult's TMM, and it doesn't have any partial cover. So they're going to also need 7s, rolling 2 dice for their damage. They get both. That's going to put it into a internal structure. It's going to give it a critical hit. Let's see what it gets. A 5. Ooh, I'm so lucky with the blue dice on these critical hits. That's a nothing. Just realized a mistake. I said I wasn't going to make any mistakes this time. The elementals don't add their jump modifier when they attack. So the last one, it only needed a 5. Didn't matter. They got the 7s anyway, so no harm done. Okay, so this one, the elemental number 5 is going to attack the victor. It wanted to go 6 inches out. The catapult was just outside of 6 inches, luckily. So this is going to attack the victor, so it just is going to need, I think, 4s. That's it, just 4s on the victor. So here we go, 4s. It got them both. Okay, so 2 damage to the victor, but it's got tons of armor, and the Marauder didn't attack it. I caught another mistake. I marked the Pegasus with a 3 for its TMM, but it has a -1, so it's just a 2. So these green elementals want to go 6 inches out. They're going to attack the Pegasus, and they are going to have a 5 to hit that. So Pegasus could go bye-bye. Let's see, 5s. Got them both. So that's going to go into structure on the Pegasus, and so it's going to get a motive hit and a critical hit. So the motive hit's going to be pink, just like I did the last time. Pink, motive, blue, critical. Okay, 6 for the motive, that's fine. And an 8 for the critical, that is a weapon hit. So actually the Pegasus survives with 1 pip of internal structure. Okay, just to keep you up to date on what's going on so far, the catapult took a ton of armor damage, went into structure, but didn't take a critical hit, but it's got 3 pips left. I think it will survive unless the Howler attacks it as well, because the anti-mech attack can only do 2 damage. Of course, it could roll a crazy critical, but it may survive. The Pegasus will survive. It has 1 pip of internal left. It's taken a motive hit, and it has taken a weapon hit to reduce its weapon damage, but not for this turn. Okay, the Howler has 2 units in its rear. That's what it wants. Had to go out 24 inches to find them. 2 in the rear, 2 with no cover, going to the red list, so picking the one on the left, the victor. So it's going to do 3 potential damage to that victor in the rear. Let's see what happens. So the Howler just needs a 6. It's got a 3 for its skill, 1 for the victor's TMM, and 6 for the range. It's going to do 3 damage. I said the victor would be a good one to capture the mech warrior, but we'll see about that. I don't know. Ooh, I rolled absolutely terribly. Only took 1 point. Okay, yeah, still going to be good. Okay, finally, we have the elementals that are right next to the catapult. And their card was kind of funny because every single elemental card I pulled so far, the first thing it said was, do an anti-mech attack. But this one didn't. I was surprised. So one to go 6 inches out, it actually had the catapult and the victor attacked by an ally this turn. Both were. Hit the target's rear. Can't do that to either one. Most armor loss does have it choose the catapult. Now, I did a quick scan of the rules. It doesn't say you have to do an anti-mech attack, but I believe when you're in base-to-base contact, you can't do ranged weapon attacks. So it has to do an anti-mech attack. So that'll be interesting. It probably will get 2 critical hits. Okay, so in an anti-mech attack, it's kind of like a physical attack. It's an all or nothing. Even though we're doing multiple attack rolls in aces, physical attacks aren't like that. They're all or nothing. So this is going to be a 6. It's 3 for their skill. It's a +1 for an anti-mech attack. And it's a +2 for the catapult's TMM. So a 6 total. Let's roll a 6. You guys are like, shut up and roll. Oh, I missed it. Oh my God. I am getting so incredibly lucky. All right, that's the last unit that took damage. Victor's got 3 pips of armor gone. Time for me to blast this Marauder into oblivion. By the way, I have not forgotten about the sniper. I think it's going to use it this round, but I'm going to do this when I flip the strategy card, so I'll come back to it. Now I'm berating myself because of what I did with this catapult. Why didn't I just jump it into the water? I would have gotten partial cover, and the elementals couldn't have gotten into base-to-base contact. What a bonehead move. You know, it's like Miser's still controlling the force from the infirmary. I am Steve. All right, Steve's ready to shoot at that Marauder. I'm going to start with him first because he can do 4 damage. Got my edge tokens ready just in case. This is going to be an 8. 4 for his skill, 1 for the Marauder's TMM, 1 for the woods cover, and then we did make sure that Marauder was out of short range. So this is going to be 2 for the medium. Going to be an 8 total. Here we go. Does 4 damage. I lost the dice. Hold on. Got 4 damage. Oh my God. Horrible. Okay, so my bad rolling doesn't apply only to the aces. So that's just 1 damage to the Marauder. I caught yet another mistake. You don't modify the TMM for a unit when it's jumping, even if it overheated. Man, that sucks. Okay, so that missed. Everything missed for the Victor then, because that would have been a 9, and the best I rolled was an 8. Okay, yeah, I don't think I'll be blasting this thing into anything. I think it's going to be a pretty light round given the situation, but it's okay. We should be able to get in short range next round because apparently my pilots have to basically be 1 inch away to hit anything. Okay, anyway, catapult's going next. It jumped, so it's going to need an 11 to hit, and it only does 2 at short range. It is in short range, as we know. Needs an 11. Not even close. Okay, let's go to Ember in her blackjack. Ember, can you do any better than this? You're going to need 9s as well. 4 for the skill, 2 for the TMM, 1 for the woods cover, 2 for medium range. That's a 9. Okay, blackjack does 3 at medium range. Edge tokens ready. Let's go. 9s. That is what I'm talking about. You know what? Does she have the one that can bump to a critical? I got to double check that. I think she does. I'm pretty sure if you roll an 11 and it hits, she can inflict a critical. Ember, you are the best. I knew it. Yes, I am nailing not making mistakes this time. Well, of course, I'm finding them out after the fact, but, you know, I'm doing better than last time. So she has the marksman ability, and she can bump, well, not bump an 11, but she can make an 11 that hits result in a critical hit. So I'm absolutely going to take advantage of that. Out goes an edge token. So this is going to do 3 damage to the Marauder, and it's going to do a through armor critical. So let me move these out of the way. And the 11 was rolled by the blue. So we're going to stick with, although, you know, I've rolled 9s and 5s with the blue. Going to make an executive decision here and use the pink. Now, you know what? Let's go with the purple. It matters. It matters. Critical hit coming in. Oh, come on. At least I have 1 pilot that doesn't totally suck. Okay, we're going to move on to the Pegasus. I made an executive decision to push the Pegasus a little closer to the Marauder into short range, because why wouldn't I have done that? I'm going to be in short range of the elementals no matter what, so what was the reason for me to not put it in short range? Anyway, sometimes I just made some bonehead moves. I'm like, yeah, I'll cover its rear. Well, everything else had already moved, so that's stupid. Okay, anyway, so that's what I'm going to do. It is a solo game, so I can do literally whatever I want. All right, so the Pegasus is going to have the same, no, it's going to have a 7 now. So it can do 3 because it's a rear attack. So here we go, 7s. You can do this, Pegasus, unnamed pilot. Man, that's bad. That's just 1. I'm getting more and more depressed as this round goes along. Ember did a great job, but other than that, we're really screwing the pooch here. All right, Condor and Clint are both going to attack the Marauder. They're going to need 9s each. They're at medium range. Yeah, so I hope they do something here because this is going to get real messy next round. All right, they do 2 each. They need 9s. Here we go. We'll do the Condor first with Shockwave, who really can't use his edge ability, but has edge. Okay, got a 10. That's good. I can't bump the other one, so that's just going to have to do it. So 1 more damage. All right, Clint's going next. This is an unnamed pilot this time, so same thing, 9s. Oh, my Lord, that's pathetic. Okay, so the Marauder makes it out with 1 armor left. There's the Marauder card. Really pretty good for the aces, all things considered, but, you know, I should be able to take this thing out, but just like the last mission, at what cost? Because these elementals are everywhere now. And I'm sure I'm going to reveal another one at some point. So pretty good, but not as good as I was hoping. All right, next up is the Hermes, who's going to shoot at the elementals on the left side there. It's going to be 9s to hit those things. It does 3 damage at medium range though, so maybe we can get something here. Oh wait, no, it's going to be 10s because they get an extra bonus to the targeting roll because they're spread out all over the place. So 10s it is. 10s it is not. Not to be forgotten amongst all the action over here by the woods and the river, we have the Maxim way over here. I switched out the dice, by the way, because I did sprint it. Not that it could attack anything anyway, but it's tucked behind there, just chilling, waiting to drop off those infantry. I'm thinking this round I might actually be able to make use of them because I'm thinking the Marauder is going to start going in this direction. I'm thinking if I can get them in this area, they could do something. You know, might not be great, but could help to slow things down. All right, I'm going to clean up and then we're going to do the battlefield support. All right, so here's the deal with the battlefield support. It's just a 2-inch circle, not a big deal. So on the back of the card, it says only spend battlefield support cards if they will hit a target structure. That is the case here. We have the catapult where it could target structure. So they have a sniper which does 2 damage in a 2-inch radius. So they can attack the catapult and hit structure. They could also attack the Pegasus and hit structure. Either one of those are valid targets. So if we go, so we're going to use it. That's the bottom line. If we go over here, it looks for the unit with the highest TMM. They both have the same TMM. Both have a 2. It wants the most enemies in the template. Well, it's not going to get anything in 2 inches except 1 unit. So that doesn't break the tie. I mean, this, if I'm playing the Force, this is where I'm targeting that. No doubt about it. I can get 3 of them. But no luck. Most armor lost. The Pegasus has lost 3 armor. The catapult has lost 5 armor. So the catapult will be the target. So I guess what I would do, because they have an elemental right next to them. So the elemental, I assume, is going to take damage if I do this, right? Like if it hits the catapult dead on, the elementals take damage too. To be honest with you, I rarely use this stuff, so I don't 100% know the rules. But I'm pretty sure that if I target here, everything in the blast radius takes damage if it's successful. So I guess what they would do is target an inch to the left here. They would target in a position where it would just hit the catapult if it hits directly. It could scatter, that's possible, but that's how I'm going to play it. They're going to attack that location right there. So I'm going to get a little dice here. Let's go with green. We never use green, so I'm going to place a dice like right there. A sniper has a target number of 8. So I'm just going to roll 1 dice and try to get an 8. If I'm unsuccessful, it will scatter. I'm going to roll 1d6 and figure out which direction it will scatter. If it hits, then it will do 2 damage to the catapult. All right, let's just figure out if this thing hits before we worry about scatter. So need an 8 to hit this thing. It does not hit. So the green dice is going to be my direction. The yellow dice is going to be how far. So this tells me 1 is north, then the yellow dice is the number of inches multiplied by 2 that it moves in that direction. Okay. 5 is going to be that direction, so this really isn't going to hit. Oh, it could hit the howler. Holy crap, that's going 10 inches this direction, right? No, this direction. Never mind. It's going this, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going that direction. It's not going to hit anything. Okay, that takes care of that. Wow, that was super interesting. Okay, so the sniper was wasted. That's good for me. Okay, let's clean up the rest of this now. As far as strategy goes, if this automated unit's forces objective is complete, nope. If you lost the least, if you lost the most, nobody lost anything. If there are no enemies within 24 inches, there are. We're going to stick with card D. And we're moving on to round 3 now. So let me get the dice out of the way and we will roll for initiative. All right, both commanders are still in play. Marauder IIC with Maya and Ember in the blackjack are both still in play here, so there is no penalty for that. I will take a -2 penalty for winning initiative the last time. So I get a -2, they're straight up. That is a tie. Interesting, man, I'm rolling terribly for their initiative today. Whoops, okay, I'm gonna re-roll this for them, I guess. Although, nah, you know what, I'll leave it, they win. It's okay, I don't like to re-roll things. It landed on a 1, it was a 1. Okay, so it was 8-7, I get a -2, so they're gonna win initiative this time. And yeah, so that's gonna make it harder for me. But I think given the situation, that Marauder can't go that far. It could jump behind this hill though. It could jump to there. That would really, really make things hard. All right, first part of movement is done. I decided it's time to unleash the infantry. They're gonna change the balance of this game. Now, I just wanted to use them as a bit of a distraction, and I figured at this point, if the Marauder wants to make a big leap this way, then they're in position to do something. I mean, the infantry can't do much, but you never know. They could potentially do something. So the Maxim moved here, dropped them off. The green infantry went first, or sorry, the green elementals went first. They decided they wanted the closest target, which makes total sense, and they just jumped back over the river. But that kind of gets them over there, so that's good because I don't know what that Marauder is going to do, and the Marauder goes second to last, so I'm not going to know what it does for a long time. It's going to be interesting. All right, I'll keep moving. All right, part 2 is done. Man, these infantry and elementals drive me crazy. They're just such good initiative sinks. I don't really know what to do, so I just decided I'm going to try to put these hover tanks in the best position I can to cover wherever this thing ends up going. So I moved the Pegasus over here and put it on the water here, and I kept it outside of 6 inches of the elementals, so I'll let the elementals go after those. Then I moved the Condor here. I'm okay with it being within 6 inches to try to take them out as a last resort if that's what I end up having to do. So I'm just going to put them there. If the Marauder comes this way or goes this way, they will be in a position to maybe attack it. Man, it's really tough. The hills are going to make this really, really difficult for the next couple of rounds, but that's what they wanted, and they got it with this mission. The elementals, they just wanted to key on the nearest target, get in the woods, and get closer to it, so they just went right there. They may not be a factor in this round. I'm not sure. Well, yeah, the blackjack will be around one way or the other. So, okay, I'll keep going. All right, I started off by almost making a total bonehead move. I was going to move the Clint and the Hermes here to try to give them like full field. But then I was like, hey, idiot, the stupid elementals are going to get in base-to-base contact with you. And I don't really want these units taking criticals because they have very little armor. So what I decided instead was I jumped the Clint up here. I don't know what else to do. I have to move 2 units, so I'm just moving it up here. I jumped the catapult. I learned from my mistake the last time. I jumped the catapult here into the water. And so that helped when I read the elemental card because I wanted a unit in 6 inches. I made sure the Clint was outside of that. This was inside, but it can't get in base-to-base contact, which was the first instruction. Can't do it because it's in water. So they wanted to occupy the woods and get out of line of sight as many enemies, so it had to jump back here. Now the Hermes can't see it. So that, I mean, there wasn't much I could work with on that, but it wanted to go in the woods. So it actually moved away from the catapult, which helps. That's a good move for us because it moved that way and the Marauder has to move this way. So it kind of eliminates one of those elementals from being too much of a nuisance for now. Okay, I have one more of these elementals to move and then the big guy's going to move. But I'm only going to get to react with 1 unit to that Marauder. This was the round I needed initiative. Didn't really know what to do. Again, I've said this a lot. So I just moved. I want the Victor to go last. I want to see where this goes before the Victor goes. So I moved the blackjack right here. I think this is okay. I kept it out of 6 inches from that elemental, and it keeps it behind the woods for a little protection. But I'm not worried about the Marauder because it has to go this direction. So I don't have to really worry about it too much. So I figured that's an okay spot. So from there, this elemental point wanted to go. It wanted the catapult. And it wanted to get behind a catapult, which it could do. It could jump this direction, but it couldn't do that and still be able to attack. So the next instruction was to get in the woods, so it went there. That's the best I could really do with that. But Ember kept herself out of anti-mech combat, and that's it for the elementals. So I'm going to move probably the Hermes, and then the Marauder is going to go, and I'll definitely show what happens with that one. Okay, so now that those elementals are out of the way, I just moved the Hermes here. This is what I was going to do originally, and it's okay to do that now. What I'm hoping here is that because these units are so close to the Marauder, it's going to key on one of them. And it's going to have to keep it in targeting range so it will not be able to jump behind here. I think that's probably what will happen. So this is another area where it's like that eye with the crosshairs thing. I mean, is there any flexibility there? I don't really know. Because if I'm commanding this force, I'm just going to go here. But that's, if I apply the golden rule, that would obviously be the best place for it to go. There's no doubt about it. I think it could pretty much get out of line of sight from everything except the infantry and then wherever the Victor ends up moving. So, do I do that or do I just do what it says on the card, which is definitely going to be to attack one of these 3? This is where I struggle a little bit sometimes with this system because it just isn't crystal clear in the rules. And I know they don't want it to be because they want you to figure out things on your own a little bit. Okay, let me just pull the card and shut up. Okay, this one has the yellow list. You just don't see that one that often. if the ideal yellow target has moved and the unit can move behind it. So the ideal yellow, if I pull up our command list, is going to be the lowest armor. That's going to be, actually that could be the Pegasus or the catapult. It can definitely move behind the catapult. So there you go. Maybe, maybe what I said it's going to do anyway. So it's going to use ground movement, jump if needed. It will definitely need jump movement. So it wants to get behind the catapult, which I think it will be able to do pretty easily. Yes, it can get behind the catapult and it can get into this area. Fewest enemy targeting ranges, probably just right around here. I mean, I'm going to move it over this direction because I think it's pretty much going to jump like that. Your jump movement's not affected by heat. Okay, so it can get to about there. It wants, yeah, fewest enemy lines of sight, so it's going to be within, I think it would try to move back as far as it could, I think is probably what it would do. Maybe try to move back like that. I think that's about the best it can do, though. I mean, that's 12 inches there. That's about as far as it can move. It could try to go this way a little bit more, I guess. Let me measure that again. Could try to go like up to here. I'm going to check that line of sight there. After that, it wants no other enemies in short range. I don't think it can do that. The infantry are going to be in short range and get cover versus as many enemies as possible. Yeah, I don't think it can do those last two. So I think if it can go here, that's probably best. It gets out of this line of sight, but otherwise it just would go there. So let me just double check that line of sight. I don't think I could quite see it where I had it, so I moved it a little bit this direction, and it can see about half of the catapult now, so I think that'll do it. It definitely can't, the Hermes can't see it at all, so that's not going to be an option. So for now, it's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in its range. It probably has partial cover, I guess, against the Maxim, so I think that's probably best. I mean, to be honest with you, that's going to get it. Yeah, I got to kill this thing. So I will move the Victor, and then I'll move the Howler, which the Howler's in a nice position now because it can really antagonize me. Okay, I had a whew moment because I read the rules for the movement objective, and she has to be there at the end phase. So that means I'll get to attack her again next round if I don't take her out this round. So I just jumped the Victor over. I was going to try to keep ground movement, but this costs 6 to cross, like I mentioned before. So yeah, that didn't seem worth it. I don't think I could have gotten in targeting range. Maybe, but I moved that way. But the Howler didn't care about the Victor at all. It had the blue list, so it was looking for highest move. So it wanted the Maxim, and it wanted to get behind the Maxim, which I did. And I put it at the very edge of getting in the rear because it prefers the rear, so it wants to do that if it can. I did that because the second instruction was stay out of as many targeting ranges as possible. So I think I cut the Hermes out, maybe, or at least it has partial cover, but that was the best I could do to stay in the rear of the Maxim. So let's get to the combat. This is going to be very, very interesting. Oh, wait. It's actually standing on a waypoint, so let's just do that now. Okay, waypoint B. You know an elemental's coming out. I can just feel it. Elementals spring out of prepared positions at you. It's an ambush. Replace the waypoint token with elementals. Okay, that unit activates and moves immediately. So this unit is going to move right now. I think what I'm going to do is, just like the artillery, I'm just going to roll a die and just move it around it, depending on what I roll. So I rolled a 2, so it's just going to go to the northeast. Going to go right there. Okay, and they're going to move immediately. So this is great. So they were able to jump behind it, so that's wonderful. And so they're going to be able to do an anti-mech attack. Wonderful. Got a whole bunch of stuff back here in my rear. I really didn't think that out very well, did I? Okay, so that's going to add some intrigue to this combat phase. But I get to go first, so let's see how much damage I can do to this Marauder. All right, Steve's going to give this another try. Has 8s again. 6 for jumping movement with his skill. 2 for the TMM of the Marauder, wide in the open. So it's just going to be 8s. He has his edge ready. Come on, Steve. Let's see what you can do. All right. I hope a lot of 8s are coming in. Or a lot of garbage. That's what I rolled. So, yeah, I didn't even get a 7 that I could bump up to an 8. So that takes all the armor away from the Marauder. So at least we got that going on. But otherwise, yeah, Steve, I mean, what do you expect? You know, his call sign is Steve. All right, the very exciting unnamed Maxim crew is like, yo, Steve, hold my beer. So they're in short range. They are going to get the partial cover from that hill in the way, but they're going to have a 4, 5, 6, 7. They're just going to need 7s. That's okay. Let's see what the Maxim can do. The Maxim's actually pretty awesome. At short range, it does 3 damage. So let's go. 3 7s. We got 2, so that's going to put into internal structure. We're going to get a critical hit. I swear if I roll a 5 or 9, I'm going to be so mad. Okay. A Maxim pilot, it knew that this was going to happen. Unbelievable. This is 2 times in my 2 missions that a random stupid hovercraft rolls a crit and gets a 12 and blows up the commander. Okay, well, she's dead, and we're all very close to that movement objective, so we can certainly get there next round. The question is, who is going to be able to get that and survive and get off the map? That is going to be tough. The cover tanks can do it if they don't die. Incredible. I can't believe that just happened again. 2 missions in a row. So awesome. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, because I certainly did. I'm going to just go ahead and not simulate, but I'm going to just speed through the combat against the elementals. I don't think that's too terribly interesting. So I'm going to just do that. I'll let you know what happens. Okay, we had a lot of missing on these green elementals here. The infantry, they nailed 1 shot on them. So yeah, so we got 1 shot on them. Ember, as usual, like a boss, takes out the number 4 elementals, gets them out of there completely with an overheat shot. So she's going to be carrying a little heat, but it should be okay. She won't be too vital to getting off the map, but she does have 2 elementals near her. In any case, this is what the cards look like. So the number 4 is out. Number 5 has 1. I didn't put the dice on it. Sorry. Number 5 has 1 point. The green has 2 points, and the Marauder is dead. And because of that, I have to read Waypoint L. I guess I was supposed to do it immediately when it was destroyed, but I'm just going to read it now that I finished combat. Okay, Waypoint L. I'm guessing it's going to say, reveal all the waypoints and get all the elementals out there. Nah, I don't know. It's very short. Let's see. 6L. Maya's Marauder IIC ripples with explosions, but you see her eject. Now's your chance to capture her. Read the capturing the Star Commander special rule. Why even have that as a waypoint? It said to do that anyway. All right, so here's the special rule. When the Marauder IIC is destroyed, for the rest of the sortie, the following special rules apply. Discard all remaining waypoints. You know, too bad these weren't 2 elementals. Wouldn't that have been nice? Remove the movement objective token and place it where the Marauder IIC was destroyed. So I'm going to just go ahead and place it directly underneath that. Since it's still attacking, I need it in position there to make sure I know where it was. It represents Star Commander Maya on foot now. All enemy units will use the movement objective card. They're all going to try to zip into here. Only the Howler and this elemental will be able to do that. These 2 are going to be... Well, actually, no, that one can do it too. Sorry, I forgot that one popped out. So yeah, there will be 3 units that can do that. Feeling okay, but there is a lot of damage to be done here. So let's see what happens. All right, Marauder's up first, and it wants a unit. It's going out 24 inches, and then it wants a unit it can hit in the rear. So I guess it can hit the catapult in the rear. I mean, the catapult's in the water, and it has this hill. So it can kind of only see like the left or the right half of it, I guess, from its perspective. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's still in the rear. So I'm going to need an enormous amount of dice for this, because since it's destroyed, it will automatically overheat. I don't even have to look at the instructions. It just will overheat because it was destroyed. So that's going to be 8 dice going into this catapult. Now, it's probably not going to have great numbers. It jumps, so it's going to have a 2 skill plus 2 for the jump for 4, 5, 6, 7 for the partial cover. I guess it's just 7s. It's really not that bad. I think I'm doing this right, but it's going to roll 8 times, so I'll roll, and then I'll just summarize what happened. No need to summarize. It's dead. It hit at least 5. But that's the advantage of this big, giant thing with tons of damage going first. It takes that thing out, and now the elementals can attack other stuff. So hold on a second. Here we go. Caught my mistake again. I forgot to add the heat penalty. So the heat was a +2. Those should have been 9s to roll. So I'm going to have to check the video and see how many of those actually hit. Okay, getting lucky on my mistakes today. There were still 4 that hit anyway, and so it was going to die no matter what. Okay, so that one's off. Let's see who goes next. Okay, the blue elementals are next. They want to target within 6 inches, so that's Ember. I'm getting a little concerned about Ember now. She's going to take a lot of damage, I think, this round. This is only 5s. So it's 3 for their skill, 4 for her TMM, and then 5 for the cover. Could hurt. So that's 2 damage. I'm just going to keep going because I feel like these are all going to do damage to her. Okay, so the green are up next. It also wants something within 6 inches. Okay, just got rid of the catapult because it's not a factor here. So the only thing within 6 inches are the, actually any of these. the Maxim, the Infantry, and the Condor. Those are all within 6 inches. It wants to do an anti-mech attack. It cannot. Attacked by an ally this turn. That was only the Catapult. Lowest armor, that's going to be the Infantry. And the Infantry have no TMM, so this is almost guaranteed to hit, and that means the Infantry will be down to their skeletons. Okay, they get both of them. So yeah, that's going to put, I'm not going to mark this thing because it's paper. But yeah, that takes all their armor away. They're down to structure, and I always say, I don't know what that means. I guess they're just, like, their flesh has melted off, and they're just the bones left there for them to destroy. Okay, haha, that was so funny, right? So next is elemental number 5, which is up here in the north. So that's elemental number 5. They want to go 6 inches out. I don't think Ember's in 6 inches. Yes, she is. She's also within 6 inches, so that's going to be 5s again. And they got both, so that is going to be a critical hit. Ember may only have 1 pip of structure after this round. So there's a critical hit. She does have 2, or she has 1 edge left to reroll. 8, she'll take that. That's a weapon hit, that's okay. All right, these infantry are up next. Again, they're only looking 6 inches out, so they're going to do an anti-mech attack. So that should be a 6. So it's going to be 3 for their skill, 2 for the TMM of the Victor, and then a +1 because it's an anti-mech attack. Okay, so it's going to be a 6 to make this work. I got lucky the last time. Let's see if I get lucky again. Nope. Victor still has 2 armor left, so this is going to be an auto 3 armor critical. That's fire control, which I don't know that I care that much about. You know what, I'm just going to take it because I don't want to accidentally roll a 12 here or something, and then I say, why did I do that? The fire control shouldn't matter that much. We're just trying to get off the map here, so I'm just going to take it. All right, so I marked Steve with the gray dice for a 2 for a fire control hit. Okay, finally, we're going to get to a 4, which is also looking 6 inches out. That's Ember. So those are going to be 5s, 3, 4, 5 for that. Poor Ember. Ooh, they missed 1. Okay, they only got 1, but that's going to be a critical hit. Ember's got her, her edge at the ready. That is a 7. That's not good. So I'm going to spend the last edge that she has, and we're going to re-roll this to something else. Hopefully not a 12 or a 2. Ooh, 5, nothing. Great. Okay, glad I did that. So yeah, she'll be able, now she survived. She only took 1 hit. She's got 2 structure left. She can jump over this hill and stay away from these things for the next round while we just try to get the capture and then get off the map. So finally, the Howler's going to go, and I'm guessing it's going to attack this thing in the rear. Yep, wants to hit the target's rear, which makes sense because that's what it was looking for in the movement phase. So it's going to get an extra attack. I'll move the dice tray here, and it's going to need a 3, 4, 5, 6. Just 6s. Whoa, baby, that gets everything. So that Maxim has no armor left. So pretty good chance that will not be the unit that tries to escape with Star Commander Maya. Condor's looking like a real good option, has all its armor and structure. Oh, I just realized I put the Marauder down here, sorry. All right, that's where things stand for my force at the end. So the catapult was destroyed, so it's out of the match. The Blackjack took a ton of damage, but should be able to hide away and not get hurt anymore and escape off the map. The Pegasus is heavily damaged, but should be able to escape. The Victor is the interesting one because I think I need the Victor to draw fire from everything to allow one of these hover tanks to overlap the objective and escape. But that's what I'll be thinking on the next round. I will regale you with some funny moments of what happened during my break here when I took a break and had to come back after a little bit. If you're not interested in this, just go ahead and skip to the next initiative phase. But I got a bunch of comments on my first playthrough, and some were hilarious. They were pointing out my goofs in the previous mission. So the biggest one that actually affects the campaign is that I forgot. So when I'm calculating my expenses and my repairs, it says right on there, non-mechs count as half size. So I just counted all my vehicles as full size, and that was dumb. I'm supposed to do half of that. So it was actually, the Pegasus is a 1, the Condor is a 2, and the LRM carrier is a 3. So it should only have been 3 for them. So I would have saved myself 300 points by doing that. So I actually came out of the sortie with 220 SP, I think. I tried to recalculate. I'm pretty sure it's 220. So here, that would mean that my named pilots actually did get 55 points apiece. Ember got 75 points because she had the MVP. The named pilots did get some, so I did update their stats. So I have to fix Steve because I miscalculated here. But Steve only has 1 edge token. But I did distribute the points out for the named pilots. So that was a funny mistake, but a good one because I'm glad someone pointed that out because I didn't do quite as bad as I originally thought. The other really funny one is that I kept putting notes on that first mission that I kept forgetting about the Bane having indirect fire. And somebody pointed out and said, hey, don't feel too bad about forgetting that. You also forgot that the Locust variant you had in the mission doesn't do 5 damage at medium range. It only does 1. There it is, the Locust 4. I'm so used to using this one from the campaign that does 5 and 5. I didn't even think to look at the card like an idiot. So it actually only did 1 from medium range. When I go back, I got to rewatch it, but I don't think it affected that much because it still would have killed the Clint, which was in short range. It would have killed the LRM Carrier, which is in short range. I think just at the end, it killed the Warhammer at medium range because it rolled 5. But if I would have been doing the Bane correctly, it probably would have killed the Warhammer anyway. So I think we're all good on how things stand, but I just thought that was hilarious. I actually burst out laughing when I read that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. I was talking about how afraid I was of that thing. Like, oh, it's scary. I got to get away. And they're probably like, what are you talking about? It does 1 damage. Anyway, and then the last one was that somebody said the Howler variant from that mission has a turret. It's the same one in this mission, so this has a turret on it. And I was like, I never would even think to look at a mech to have a turret, unless it was a quad. So thank you, everybody, for calling those things out. That was funny and informative, so I appreciate that. Okay, end phase is all done. I cleaned everything up. So we're going to go into initiative, which is going to be super important because we want to overlap this objective. Overlap, I guess that means touch it. So this is going to be crucial. One mistake I never stop making is forgetting to update the initiative tracker on the side of the table. We're going into round 4. The Aces won the last time. So they're going to get a -4 penalty because their commander has been lost and they won initiative last time. So they get a -4. In addition, they lost more PV than we did. Marauder IIC is 52 and the Catapult is 32. But of course, they also lost an elemental point. So they definitely lost more than we did. So they move on to card C. Doesn't affect the initiative roll, but they will assign the move last to the highest short damage and the most move. That's going to be the Howler. They all do 2 damage at short range, and the Howler is the fastest. So the Howler will be moving last, which it probably would anyway, because those ambushers move really early. Okay, with all that said, I should be able to win initiative. I hope so. Here we go. Yes, I win initiative. We tie, but they get -4, so they roll a 2. I roll a 6. So I'm going to flip this initiative token so I stop forgetting. And I'll have initiative for the movement round. That is huge because that means I can get the hover tanks on that movement objective. Unfortunately, that means the elementals can do a anti-mech attack. They can do anti-mech attacks to vehicles too. So they're going to be in there close. We'll see. All right, so I'm kind of in the middle of movement here. The blue elementals went first, and they have to follow the movement objective now. So all the units on the board use the movement objective rules, but I think they alter the first one that says overlap the objective with just be within 6 inches of that objective. So they don't necessarily have to overlap it. They just want to get within 6 inches. So the blue ones have to move in that direction. They were keying on the blackjack, and they had, for now, they have to keep it within targeting. And they wanted to occupy woods, but they were on the edge of woods. So the only thing they could do really was jump over and go there. So I moved the Condor and overlapped the objective and put the back up against the hill. And now I'm trying to figure out if the Hermes can get there. I don't think it can. Now the Clint has jump capability, and the Clint, you know what? The Clint can overlap it. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to get these guys in here. I'm going to do the same exact thing, just kind of put it like that. Someone's going to get hurt. The least hurt's going to pick her up and take her off the map. All right, movement step 2 done. So this elemental's point wanted to go. They were the one right next to the victor, and they could almost overlap the movement objective, but not quite. They just wanted to key on the victor and I think they wanted to get in woods or something, which they couldn't do. I don't remember exactly what it was. Anyway, it didn't matter because they just wanted to make sure they could still attack the victor. And so I just moved them as close as I could, which unfortunately then blocked anything else from getting there. I think we're going to be okay, though. I think I'm overestimating a bit as far as how much damage these things can take. All the stuff on the map can only do 2 damage. So it's not like, it's not like they're going to blow everything off the map here. As long as something fast survives, I should be okay. So the victor just moved here, and I put it's back up against the wall. So I want to keep it close in case someone has the red list, so they'll key on it, and then I should be able to sprint it off. Not that it matters. If I can get the commander off, the sortie ends immediately. This is fun. So they talk about the BattleTech conga line for classic BattleTech, where everything just kind of gets in close so they can punch each other because nobody can hit with the high modifiers. We're kind of doing the Alpha Strike version here where everything's just zipping right into this movement objective, and I had to I had to maneuver the Maxim so it could touch the movement objective. It has to physically overlap it. So we got 3 options here, so we're good. I also mounted the infantry in the Maxim. That might be stupid because it could get blown up and destroyed, but it was an initiative sync. I could just move that first. Ember jumped back here behind the hill, just like I said she would. And so yeah, so we're going to be 1 for 1 now. Okay, so I'm going to show you real quick the green infantry here. So once a unit within 12 inches that has moved, there are plenty of those. It's got pretty much this whole area here. And it wants to go out 6 inches and find a unit it can attack that has already moved on the blue list, which will be the Maxim. It has lost the most armor, so that's going to be the Maxim. And it wants to get closer to the target behind if able. The only way I can get behind would be to jump it like that. Now, obviously, I'm using the movement objective first. It wants to overlap. If the enemies also want to overlap and be able to target them, that's fine, but we're all good. And then it just wants to get closer to the movement objective. So that's the part that's tough, because it's here. Can it get closer? I mean, basically, I just am going to have to go like that. So that's that. The Pegasus, I feel like, should just get off the map. I don't really think there's anything to be gained by leaving it out here. I guess I could maybe I'll just move it down here. I mean, it still has 14 inches of movement. So maybe I'll just move it like here. And it can at least get a shot in there. I mean, I don't think anything else is going to prioritize it, so it should get off the map. I think it'll be okay. Okay, by the way, I think I may have said it has to overlap, the elementals have to overlap the movement objective. That's not true. They just have to get within 6 inches. They have special rules. The Howler wanted to go here. It has to get within 6 inches of the movement objective, so it kind of had to stay in this area. It picked the Condor as its target, and so it wanted to be in the fewest enemy lines of sight as possible. It's kind of tough to do that. So I tried to go here just to give it a little partial cover against at least the Condor. I moved the Hermes this way because I just wanted to get in close to attack stuff. I guess it doesn't matter. I don't even know why I'm bothering. They all get to attack no matter what, so it really doesn't matter. But I'd like to destroy more stuff because I do have an objective. It says if I destroy 3 other enemy units, that's the secondary objective, I could get a bonus. So you know what? Why don't we try to we've taken out 1 elemental. We could try to take either of these 2 out or the Howler and get that bonus because I think we're going to win. I don't have any questions about that. But real quick, I'm just going to go through these again just to make sure I'm following everything. Primary objective is destroy the Marauder IIC, then capture Maya. It's funny, it just says capture her. It doesn't say get her off the map. It's kind of interesting. But I guess that's because the sortie could end after turn 7, so that must be why they tell you that. Okay, secondary objective is to destroy 3 other units. Okay, yeah, I'm playing everything fine. We're all good. So basically, I need to just have a unit after combat that's still overlapping that movement objective, and I capture her. I'm hoping it's one of the hover tanks because that's an instant win. Let's see what happens in combat. Okay, first up is Elemental A3. They wanted to go to something in the rear, but the Maxim, if I draw the line, it's coming in just on the side. So it's not technically in the rear. And it wants the most armor lost on the red list, so that's going to be the Maxim anyway. So it does 2 damage, and it's going to have a real, not super easy, it's going to have a 6 to hit the Maxim. Does 2 damage. Only gets 1. Gets 1 point. And so that is a structure point though, and it can take a motive hit. So there's still some bad stuff that can happen here. Definitely some bad stuff. So as usual, I'm going to do the pink as motive and the blue is the critical. Okay, pink is no motive hit. 8 is a weapon hit. All right, so there's the Maxim as of now. Took a weapon hit, took 1 pip of structure, still hanging in there. Okay, I had to move the Howler this way a little bit. It couldn't actually see the Condor. I had to check because it said hit a target's rear. So it could where it was before, but it couldn't actually see it. It only saw like just the tiniest bit there. So I had to move it this way, and now the line similar to the Maxim is kind of going right there. So I'm gonna let it hit the middle. Or I'm gonna say it hits the rear, so that's fine. So it's gonna attack the Condor. And it's gonna have also a 6. Yeah, because vehicles don't get partial cover. So I don't know. You tell me. I probably shouldn't give it the bonus, but I will, just for fairness sake. because I can't really tell. Although it seems weird to me that it could hit the rear of the unit that has its back facing the hill. Yeah, that just seems stupid. Okay, so I'm just going to roll it straight up with 2. Oh my god. Horrible. Let's see what would happen if I rolled the 3rd. Yeah, that one would have hit, but I think it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, the back side of this thing is facing the hill directly, so how could it possibly hit the back? So, okay, that's the Howler. That was a big whiff. That really helps. All right, the blue elementals are up, and they want to target within 6 inches. And our buddy used his strategery to make sure he was within 6 inches of this blue, and the Condor is not. So way to go, Steve. So they're going to attack twice, well, 2 damage to Steve there, and they're going to have a 3, 4. Just going to be 4s. Oh my god, my great rolling is coming in here for the aces. So they only get 1. Steve keeps his armor. So there's Steve right now. Still has 1 pip of armor left. Good job, Steve. Maybe you will be the MVP of this mission. All right, we're going to Elementals 5 now. The only target they have is the Victor, but they're at medium range, so these are going to be, what are they going to be? 3, 4, 5, 6. They're going to be 6s. Gets them both. Okay, so now Steve is going to take a critical hit, but Steve has his edge token, so they need a critical hit here. Oh, that's an MP hit, which, to be honest with you, it doesn't really matter because I'm definitely going to win now, so I'm just gonna let it go. All right, the green elementals are up, and they want to hit the target's rear. They want to go 6 inches and hit the target's rear, so this time they can hit the Maxim's rear and do an extra damage. The Maxim and the infantry may not be getting off the map here. I need to roll pretty badly. On the plus side, though, Shockwave and the Condor is going to be the hero and get the commander off of this map. So here we go. They're going to need 6s. 3, 4, 5, 6. Extra damage in the rear. Here we go. Come on, bad roll. Ah, darn it. All right, that's the end of the Maxim. That's the end of the foot patrol. Of course, I could recover them in the after sortie steps, but the infantry need a very high roll. So, okay, that's it for them. I'm going to just roll and see if I can take some of these out and get the bonus. All right, Steve is going to go first. Steve is going to go after the green elementals because they already have 2 armor damage, so they only have 2 pips left. So he's going to try to take it out and ensure that he will get the MVP. Yeah, right. Ember's definitely getting it. I don't know, though. If he can take out the elemental, maybe he'll get it. He'll be in consideration. All right, so he's going to have a 4 for his ground movement, a +2 for his firing hit. So that's a 6. He's going to have a 7, 8, 9, and they're in short range. So it's going to be 9s for Steve. Steve, can you do it? You have an edge token to bump an 8 if you need it. Let's go. You got an 8. Okay, that's fine. Let's do it. We're going to spend the edge token, and we're going to bump that to a 9. So that's going to put the green elementals into structure. That's an automatic weapon hit. Not that it matters, but they would go automatic weapon hit for their crit. Boop. Okay, so they only have 1 left, so that means something can take them out. I'm thinking the Condor. Condor does have a turret, so I'm trying to pick something that can't attack the Howler, but they all can. I think I'll go with the Maxim. No, the Maxim does 3 at short range. Yeah, the Maxim does 3, so I want those 2. I think I'm going to do the Clint. I'm going to try the Clint first. So the Clint is going to need a 6, 7, 8, 9. Also 9s. It does 2, so I just need 1 of these. And I got it. They're done. Way to go, unnamed pilot in the Clint. These guys are gone. So I need to just take out 1 more unit to secure the bonus. All right, just to be thematic, I'm going to go after the Howler because although I think point A5 does have damage, it would be smarter to go for them, but I'm going to be thematic because we want to take the Howler out, which would be the biggest obstacle to our escape. So you know what? If nothing, I'm a fair man. I'm going for theme. I love theme. I love story. Let's go. All right, the Condor is going to go first. The Condor can do 2 damage at short range, so it's going to need a 4, 5, 6, 7 to hit. Oh, you know what? They're going to get partial cover. It needs an 8. All right, so we need 8s. Got 1. All right, Howler takes 1 damage. All right, that's that one. So, you know, I kind of want them to go last. Let's do the Hermes. So the Hermes is going to go, so 4, 5, 6, 7 on the dot. Now that everything's in short range, such low numbers. Okay, rolls 3 at short range. 7s. Yes, this is exactly what I wanted. The Maxim can be the hero again. even though it dies. But that's 2 to the Howler. Good job, Hermes. Very nice. Okay, critical hit incoming. Of course, it's a 5, so nothing. And now the Maxim goes with its dying breath. All these infantry in there, all the crew running the vehicle, they're screaming out in agony. They're all dying from the fire, from all the attacks they took. Can they do it? Can they take the Howler out and secure their mercenary company extra supply points, support points, super points, whatever you want to call them? Can they do it? Also need a 7. Yeah, I had that coming, didn't I? Oh, well. Completely forgot. We've got our Pegasus down here. Yep, the Pegasus is going to do it. Has 1 damage it can do. So it's going to have a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for the woods, 10. Needs a 10 to take the Howler out and secure this bonus. Oh, I saw the 5 and I thought I had a chance. No, it doesn't do it. So the Blackjack's tucked away over here. I should have just left the infantry out. The infantry could take a shot. Alas, no luck. Okay, so that means I guess the sortie ends immediately when I get off the map, so I'm not going to get the bonus. I can't believe it. No bonus for me, but that's okay. That's going to do it. So the Condor would get off the map. Let me just double check the objectives and we will wrap up. And there goes Shockwave in the Condor off into the sunset with Commander Maya. This is going to be interesting to see what exactly happens now that we have a Jade Falcon Star Commander in our capture. But Shockwave is being escorted by Steve, who really turned things around toward the end of this mission. Did a great job using that strategery at the end to make sure the elementals didn't attack the Condor. That was very slick. And the rest of the unit sits here and stares in disbelief at their commanding officer's complete incompetence, willing to give up almost a sure thing and a 600 support point bonus for the sake of story and narrative and theme. Come on, time to fire that guy. All right, there you have it. Another one in the books and another really fun mission. I really like this one. It was cool. I'm a big fan in general of pursuit type missions. Like something's trying to get off the map, you're trying to chase it. I really do like those types of missions. But I especially like this one because of how the phases change. You start off with this unit trying to get off the map, then it drops its mech warrior, and then now you're trying to get off the map and escape. That was a really cool way of handling the mission, especially when you mix in these waypoints with the surprises. That made it seem a lot more tense than I think it ended up turning out. I will say this, I wasn't sure I felt about the campaign overall the first time I played it through, but this path is way more interesting. That first mission was super cool. I thought this mission was super cool, so I'm giving a big thumbs up to the evil playthrough. So I'm interested in seeing what happens now that we have her. So I'm gonna go ahead and read the outcome of this mission. I guess I can just put it right on here because if you're watching it this far, you're already spoiled. Gained a keyword, captured commander. I love keywords. So I'm gonna go ahead and write that down now. And I'm almost positive this will come into play in a mission setup where it'll probably tell you get either a recon because of this or something changes with the enemy force setup, something like that. Okay, name pilots earn up to 80 SP each. I think we will get SP this time. Well, it looks like not every Salama in the 18th Falcon Regulars is desperate for a glorious death in battle. Star Commander Maya had let herself be captured. While smart enough to surrender, she's also honorable enough to shift her loyalty to your mercenaries. Oh, as a good clan prisoner ought to do. She might be a Falcon, but she sings like a canary. Okay, wasn't expecting that. That's awesome. It turns out that Maya and Conrad Sender are from the same SIBCO, or sibling company, and have been friends and rivals for decades. Star Commander Maya confirms what other Apalachians have already told you. I'm not aware that we talked to any Apalachians. We're pretty much being the jerk mercenaries that don't talk to anybody. In any case, they've already told you about Sender's increasing cruelty, and in her voice is something like disgust and something like concern. She was never completely on board with the Mongol doctrine, whereas Sender has grown more and more dedicated to its cruelty since being marooned on Appalachia. Maya's debriefing also yields some promising new information about the Falcon's activities. There's a valuable munitions convoy passing through the area, fresh from the Appalachians' factories. Taking out the convoy would be a major blow to the 18th and could pay huge dividends in later sorties. There's also a nearby Falcon base, one that she was leading a patrol from, in fact, that has established a blockade at a vital choke point. They hold a mountain pass. The locals jokingly call it Thermopile. Breaking through their blockade and scattering the defending Jade Falcons will open up the territory to you and could let the local Appalachians breathe easy again. Well, forget about them. I don't care. Who cares what they think or what they want? No. In reality, I've already played the Thermopile one. That's Sortie 9, I think. Yeah, the Mountain Pass blockade. I've done Sortie 9, so that means I'm going with Sortie 7. Time for the fun part. All right, so this was Sortie 6. Primary objective complete. We got 1,200 points from that. Did not complete any other objectives because I wanted to be thematic. Very smart. Okay, 100% difficulty modifier, so 1,200. All right, we did not do reconnaissance. I'm very glad I didn't do that. I think bringing all those hover tanks was the right move, and the faster mechs, because that really gave us a good opportunity to get behind the Marauder early and then kind of flush it the direction we wanted it to go. So I really didn't need the flanking. It would have been cool to see how that worked out, but I think it was unnecessary. Okay, no waypoint bonuses. So rearming, I think I said I don't have any ENE. Before we do rearming though, we have to figure out, does the catapult survive? So the catapult was destroyed. I need a 6 or more to keep it. Got it. Okay, so the catapult's alive, so that means I got 9 units that need to be rearmed. I think infantry count, I'm gonna check the rules real quick. Okay, yep, the rules say any unit, does not differentiate. Okay, as far as wounded personnel, so I'm gonna check on the catapult. Got a 7, I think that means they're okay. There's no wound. Let me flip it over here. Yeah, 7+ is fine. So, okay, we made it out pretty well there. All right, so next, so that means there's no wounded and we don't have to replace anybody. As far as destroyed units go, we had, oh wait, I totally forgot about the Maxim. I forgot about that one. That was destroyed. See, I gotta make sure I mark these off when I destroy them. I just kind of take them up. And I also forgot about the infantry. Okay, hold on a second, hold the phone. All right, let's figure these out. So the Maxim, okay, the Maxim needs a 6 to stay alive. I really hope we keep the Maxim. Oh, we don't. Oh, that's awful. All right, Maxim's gone. So that's gonna take 1 off of the rearming. And the infantry require an 8. Oh no, sorry. Nope, regular infantry, conventional infantry is gonna be a 10. I need a 10 for this. Nope, infantry are gone. Okay, so the Maxim and the infantry are dead, so that's gonna take my rearming down to 7. I'm really bummed about that Maxim. That's too bad. Okay, any structure damage or criticals, so those are gone. So it's just the Victor, which is a 4, so that's gonna be 160. And then only armor damage, that's it. Because the Hermes, the Clint, oh, I'm sorry, you can't even see these. I'm such an idiot, sorry. The Victor has 1 pip of structure and it has 2 criticals, so that was the one that said any structure or criticals. The Pegasus and the Blackjack were both crippled because they had half of their structure. Catapult obviously was destroyed, but not dead, so I had to pay for that. And the Condor, the Clint, and the Hermes took absolutely no damage whatsoever for 0. So now I just got to add them up. So that'd be 750. So I just subtract that from there, and I'm going to end up with 450 SP to add to my campaign log. I'll switch back to my log. So we earned 450. And the name pilots, it said they could get 80 each. So here's how this works. So the 3 pilots that were in the sortie were Steve, Shockwave, and Ember. They're going to take 80 each, but Miser was not in the sortie, so he only gets 40 points. So that's going to be 280 total that they will take. So 80 for 3, which would be 240, and then 40 for Miser would be 280. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to purchase anything right now. I'm just going to put that as a 0. I have to take a look at the next mission to decide if I want to do that. Am I allowed to do that? I don't know, but I'm going to. So that would leave me with 170 extra points, which would take me to 610. I think I did that right. Probably need to bust out a calculator to double check. Yeah, I think that's good. All right, so that's that. I'm definitely going to go to, I will say mission 9 was pretty cool, but I want to be totally surprised in this playthrough, so I'm going to do a mission I haven't done. So that's going to be supply lines. Wow, very simple map structure, and they're all kind of bogged down here in this cluster. Okay, we will get to that and what is going to happen in the next one. I hope you enjoyed this. I think I made far less mistakes this time. I felt much more relaxed. I don't know why that first one got me all like, whoa, probably because it went on forever because I did the whole setup explanation and all that, but this one I definitely felt more like I was just having some fun because it was a cool mission and it flowed a little better. There was a lot going on in that first mission. But anyway, yeah, so thanks a lot for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I did screw anything up. I thought I did a pretty good job, but if I goofed, let me know. Thank you.